The halls of Senna's Galactic Academy of Studies were buzzing with excitement. Today was the opening of the Nova Terra exhibition in the Primitive Species Wing. Students from hundreds of different worlds moved like a colorful river towards the large doors where Professor Zixtal waited. The teacher's 6 eyes blinked in sequence as he checked the time. His gray skin wrinkled around his mouth as he smiled at the gathering crowd. When the clock struck the hour, he waved his long fingers and the doors opened. "Welcome, students," said Professor Zixtal. His voice was soft and assured. "Today we inaugurate our newest educational exhibition about one of the most curious cases in the galaxy, planet Earth." The students invaded the large room. Screens covered the walls showing images of Earth, its blue oceans, green lands, and white clouds. The display cases contained simple human tools, old computers, and models of their basic spaceships. Kravox, one of the best students on the mineral planet Dozer, moved to the front of the group. His rocky skin glistened under the lights as he studied a model of one of the first human rockets. This was their most advanced space vehicle. Kravox asked, not hiding the laughter in his voice, barely looking capable of reaching his own moon. Professor Zixtal nodded. "In fact, the Earth is what we call a stunted civilization. They managed basic space travel, but never developed the technology to properly join the broader galactic community. They remain isolated in their solar system, making slow progress." A group of students gathered around an exhibit showcasing human military history. The glass case contained simple weapons, tanks and fighters. "Look at these weapons," said Mila, a student with blue feathers and piercing eyes. "They still use physical projectiles. No wonder they were never invited to join the Defense Council." The students laughed. Some joked about how humans would react to seeing real advanced weapons. Others wondered why academia bothered to study such a backward planet. At the back of the room, mostly hidden by a tall display case, stood Jack Collins. Unlike the others, Jack was human. His brown hair and normal height meant he wasn't easily noticed among the colorful alien students. He was one of only 3 humans allowed to study at the academy, part of a cultural exchange program that most saw as charity for early Earthlings. Jack listened to the jokes with a calm face. When students pointed to the displays and laughed, he simply watched. But anyone who looked closely might have noticed something strange. Jack wasn't surprised or upset. Instead, a small smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Earth is important to study," Professor Zixtal continued, as a reminder that not all species advance at the same pace. Some, like humans, get to a certain point and then plateau. They have been using the same basic technology for almost 100 years. Kravox moved on to another exhibit, this one showing Earth's place in galactic politics. The image showed Earth as a small dot, connected to just 2 other worlds with thin lines representing minimal trade agreements. Professor Kravox shouted, "Is it true that humans don't even know about most alien species, that their leaders hide most galactic knowledge from their own people?" "Correct," said the teacher. "Earth's governments decided that their population was not ready for full disclosure. Only a select few humans know the true extent of galactic civilization." The laughter got louder. Jack Collins moved silently toward the exit, the same small smile still on his face. When he reached the door, he turned to take one last look at the laughing students of his home world. "Enjoy the exposure," he whispered to himself. "You have no idea what's coming." A week after the Earth exhibit opened, Professor Zixtal stood in front of his classroom. The holographic display behind him showed images of different planets. "His biannual projects begin today," he announced. "Each group will study a civilization that has not achieved its potential. You will explain why they lag behind other species." The classroom was filled with moans and whispers. Professor Zixtal tapped the screen, and the students' names began to form into groups. Kravox watched his name appear with 4 others: Mila, Dorn, Vazik, and Jack Collins. He frowned. "Why put the human in your group?" Professor Kravox raised his hand. "We have the human in our group. Isn't that unfair for a project about failed civilizations?" The class laughed. Professor Zixtal's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "An interesting point, Kravox. Perhaps Mr. Collins can provide it. Insider perspective on the limitations of your species." More laughter. Jack sat calmly at his desk, his face calm. After class, the group gathered at a study table in the library. The glass walls showed the stars outside, distant suns, and slowly rotating planets. I say we study the Earth, Mila suggested. Its blue feathers fluttered with excitement. It's perfect. We've already seen the exhibit and have a real human being to interview. Dorn, a tall student with gray skin and 4 arms, nodded. Easy project. Earth has never properly developed faster than the travel of light. They barely leave the solar system. What do you think, human? Vazek asked. His snake-like body coiled around the seat as he looked at Jack. Why did your species fail? Jack smiled. It was the same small smile from the exhibition. I think Earth is a great choice, he said, but maybe not for the reasons you think. Krovox laughed. There's no shame in that. Some species advance, others do not. It's just biology and physics. Speaking of research, Jack said, ignoring the comment, we should also look at military history. Not just technology. The aliens exchanged glances. Military history is boring, Vazek said. All species follow the same pattern. Physical weapons, then energy weapons, then field manipulation. The Earth stopped at the first step. Jack shrugged. Just a suggestion. You may find some surprises. Have you heard of Operation Silent Shield? None of them had. What is it? Mila asked. Look, said Jack. I'll get some reference materials. He walked away, leaving the aliens confused. Krovox turned to the library terminal and searched for Earth and Operation Silent Shield. The screen flashed red. D-axis and ID. Necessary security seal for your ants. This is strange, Krovox said. Why would anything on Earth be classified? The group spent the next hour researching official records. They found the usual information. Earth discovered space travel in the mid-20th century, made contact with the Galactic Alliance in the early 21st century, and has been slowly integrating ever since. Nothing special, but something bothered Krovox. There were gaps in the timeline. Periods when Earth's activities were not clearly documented. I'll go like this, he said finally. Registration must be complete. My father is an ambassador. He always says that the Earth is an open book. Maybe your father doesn't know everything, said Jack, returning with several data chips. This might help. They are from Earth's public archives, but they tell a different story than the one your academy teaches. He placed the chips on the table. Each was labeled with a date and a simple word. Geneva. What is Geneva? Dorn asked. A city on Earth, explained Jack K. But also the location of something important. Something that happened shortly after the first contact. What happened? Mila asked. Jack's smile widened. That's what we're going to find out. I think it's time you learned why the Earth really remains isolated. It's not what you think. Krovox looked at the data chips and then at Jack. For the first time, he felt insecure about this project and about humans. Krovox was sitting in his room, looking at his personal terminal. His rock-like fingers hovered over the security block. What he was about to do wasn't exactly against the rules, but it wasn't exactly right either. He entered his father's access codes. The ambassador's codes could open many locked doors in the Galactic Alliance's database. His father had only given him these codes. For emergencies. Was this an emergency? No, but curiosity pushed him forward. The screen flashed green. Guaranteed XCS. Krovox typed. Earth plus Shield silent operation. This time the files appeared. Hundreds of them. Most were marked with red borders, meaning they were heavily redacted. Black lines covered most of the text, hiding information. What are you hiding? Krovox whispered to the screen. A file caught his eye. It was titled The Geneva Demonstration. Initial response. The file was almost entirely made up of black lines, but a few words were visible. After the demonstration, Alliance representatives expressed extreme concern. Earth's capabilities far beyond. Immediate recommendation. Classified as potential Class 9. Class 9. Krovox knew the classification system. Class 9 meant a species with technology that could threaten the entire Alliance. But that was impossible. Earth has barely done space travel. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. He quickly closed the files and opened the door. Jack Collins was there, with another human that Krovox had never seen before. I hope I don't interrupt, said Jack. This is Susan Martinez. She is also from Earth. Susan nodded. She was shorter than Jack, with dark hair and serious eyes. We need to talk, she said. Can we come in? Krovox stepped aside. The two humans entered their room and closed the door behind them. You are looking at confidential files. Susan said it wasn't a question. How did you know that? Krovox asked. Surprised. Jack smiled. Because files are monitored. When someone accesses information about Operation Shield of Silence or the Geneva demonstration, we receive an alert. We, Krovox asked. Earth intelligence, Susan explained. I'm not really a student. I'm a military historian assigned to the academy. Krovox felt his rocky skin grow cold. Am I in trouble? Susan shook her head. No. In fact, we were waiting for someone like you. Someone curious enough to look deeper. The project was not by chance. Jack added. Professor Zixdal was instructed to assign him to study Earth. We've been watching you, Krovox. You see patterns that others miss. Krovox looked from Jack to Susan and back again. I don't understand. What is this all about? It's about the truth, Susan said. The truth about Earth. The truth that your people have hidden from their own students. My people, the Alliance would not lie. They would and did. Jack interrupted. Think about it, Krovox. Why would information about an early planet be classified at the highest level? Krovox had no response. Susan took out a small device and placed it on the table. He projected a hologram showing a mountain range on Earth. This is Geneva, Switzerland, she explained. 50 years ago, when the Alliance made its first official contact with Earth, it sent representatives to meet with our leaders. These representatives made a mistake. What error? Krovox asked. They threatened us, Jack said. They thought we were primitive, easy to control. They tried to intimidate Earth into accepting unfavorable conditions. Susan nodded. So our leaders invited us to a demonstration in Geneva. A changing hologram showing a room full of aliens and humans in formal clothing. What you are about to see has been kept secret throughout most of the galaxy. Susan said, after you see it, you'll understand why Earth is classified the way it is and why your friends shouldn't laugh at humans anymore. The hologram began to play. Krovox watched himself, his 6 eyes widening with each passing moment. The hologram showed a large room with a long table. On one side sat humans in dark suits. On the other side were representatives of the Alliance, a mix of different exotic species. Their faces showed confidence and even smugness. This recording is from 50 years ago, Susan explained, when the first contact was made official. In the hologram, a blue-skinned, 4-armed alien spoke. As members of the Alliance, we expect Earth to meet our standard technology sharing requirements. Our exams show that you have not yet mastered the power of fusion or the manipulation of gravity. A human woman at the table responded calmly. And if we refuse those terms, the blue alien laughed. So you remain isolated. No trade, no cultural exchange, no protection. Protection against what? The human asked. There are many dangers in the galaxy, said the alien. Much less diplomatic species than us. The human representatives whispered among themselves. Then an older man spoke. We invite the Alliance delegation to visit our facilities in Geneva tomorrow. We would like to show you something before we make our decision. The hologram changed to show a mountain. A door opened on the side, revealing a huge cave. The next day, the Alliance representatives were taken to a secret facility. Susan narrated, what they saw changed everything. The hologram showed the aliens walking through long tunnels into a huge underground space. Their faces showed confusion and then shock as they entered a giant chamber. Inside the chamber were ships, not the primitive rockets from the Academy's exhibit, but elegant ships that glowed with a strange energy. Uniformed humans walked among them, working on machines unlike anything the alien hologram delegation had ever seen. What is that? The blue alien asked with a shaky voice. The human woman smiled. This is the Earth's true defense force. What you saw on the surface, our public space program, is exactly what we allow the world to see. Another human stepped forward. For more than a century, Earth has maintained 2 technological paths. The public, which your Alliance observed and rejected. And this one. The hologram showed more of the facility, weapons that seemed to bend light itself, engines that hummed with power beyond that used by the Alliance, screens showing star systems far beyond Earth's solar system. Are you watching us? Asked an alien delegate. Of course, the human responded. We have watched the Alliance for decades. We study its technologies, its politics, its conflicts. We needed to understand what we were dealing with before revealing ourselves. The blue alien looked angry now. You deceived the entire Alliance. Why? The older human stepped forward, because of conversations exactly like the one we had yesterday. His first instinct was to threaten us, to intimidate us into submission. We needed to know what kind of neighbors we had before showing our true capabilities. The hologram zoomed in on an enormous ship, larger than any other in the chamber. This is the Horizon. The human woman explained to the shocked aliens. What can you get to want the Alliance system in a few hours? He has already visited most of his home worlds. None of your sensors detected this. The foreign delegates looked at each other in disbelief. Why show us now? The blue alien asked. Because we are ready to join the Alliance, said the human. But as equals, and not as subjects. We will share some technologies, keep others private, just as all other species do. The hologram ended. Kravok sat in stunned silence. That's impossible, he finally said. If Earth had this technology, everyone would know. Susan shook her head. Not if we didn't want them to know. But why remain hidden after that demonstration? Kravok asked. The Alliance leadership agreed to classify the true nature of Earth's capabilities. Jack explained. They feared they would panic if people discovered that an unknown species possessed such advanced technology. All those jokes about early humans, Kravok whispered. Susan nodded. They are encouraged. The best disguise is the one your opponent creates for you. The next day, Kravok could barely pay attention in class. He continued to look at Jack, seeing the human in a completely new light. Was everyone on Earth hiding such secrets? When class ended, Mila, Dorn, and Vezek approached Kravok. Where were you yesterday? Mila asked. Its blue feathers ruffled with annoyance. We should meet for the project. Sorry, said Kravok. Something came up. Jack approached them. In fact, I think we should all get together today. I have some new information for our research. More mysterious tips. Vezek asked, his snake-like body coiling in irritation. Just tell us what you know. Jack smiled. Not here. Meet us at Docking Bay 12 in an hour. Docking Bay 12. Dorn repeated. This is for employees only. Believe me, Jack said, and then he walked away. An hour later, the 4 alien students arrived at Docking Bay 12. Jack and Susan were waiting next to a small, plain-looking ship. What is happening? Mila asked. Field trip, Susan said. We got permission to take you somewhere special for your project. Where? Vezek asked. To see the real Earth's defense strategy, Jack replied. Between. The ship looked ordinary from the outside, but inside it was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The controls glowed with a strange blue light. There were no engines visible, but the air hummed powerfully. This doesn't sound like gym technology, Dorn said as they sat down. It is not, Susanna confirmed. She touched the control panel, and the ship took off silently. Instead of heading towards the space gate used for normal travel, Susan directed the ship towards what appeared to be empty space. Suddenly, a door appeared, a rupture in reality itself that hadn't been visible before. Dimensional port, Jack explained as they passed by. We hide them all over the galaxy. The space shuttle appeared close to Earth, but not the Earth shown in the Academy images. This Earth was surrounded by a series of satellites and stations that formed patterns around the planet. The shield network, Susan explained. Our first line of defense has been here for over a century, but remains invisible to standard Alliance sensors. How is this possible? Kravok asked. Phase change technology, Jack said. Earth developed this a long time ago. Our public technology looks primitive because that's what we want people to see. But why? Mila asked. Why hide your true abilities? Susan guided the ship towards a large station hidden in the Earth's shadow. Human history has taught us something important, she explained. When a technologically advanced society encounters a less advanced one, the less advanced one usually suffers. When the aliens secretly visited Earth centuries ago, our leaders made a decision. What decision? Vezek asked. To hide, said Jack. To observe and learn before we reveal ourselves. Appearing weak while becoming strong. The bus docked at the station. Through the windows, the alien students could see hundreds of ships, all far more advanced than anything they had seen in the Alliance fleet. This is just one of dozens of similar stations throughout our solar system. Susan said, we call this the deception strategy. But the Alliance has been peaceful with Earth. Dorn protested. Only after the demonstration in Geneva did Jack remember him. Before that, they tried to intimidate us. And we know from monitoring Alliance communications that many still see Earth as a potential target. A world rich in resources with a supposedly primitive defense system. Our entire civilization is built on strategic deception. Susan added. Our public technology advances slowly and deliberately. Meanwhile, our real capabilities grow in secret. As they got off the bus, a tall human man in a dark uniform greeted them. Welcome to Omega Station, he said. I'm Commander Pete Rogers. I understand you are learning about our little secret. These are the students we talk about, Susan said. They are ready for the next phase. Next phase of what? Krovox asked. Regarding his education, Commander Rogers replied. It's time for you to learn why Earth really hides from the galaxy. Commander Rogers led the group through Omega Station. The hallways were full of humans in uniforms, working with technology that made the alien students stare and wonder. The screen showed star maps of the entire galaxy, with countless flashing lights representing human ships and bases. This is our main monitoring center, Rogers explained as they entered a large room. From here, we track every known species in the galaxy. Each species, Dorn asked, his forearms crossed in disbelief. This is impossible. Rogers smiled. We have observer ships near every major civilization, completely undetectable. But why? Milla asked. Why try so hard to hide? Follow me, said Rogers. He took them to another room. Inside was a holographic display showing Earth's history. Images flashed on the screen. Wars, disasters, conflicts. Humans have fought each other for thousands of years, Rogers explained. We almost destroyed ourselves several times. Each time we learn and adapt. The screen showed images of early human space exploration. When we first arrived in space, we detected signals. Alien communications from distant worlds. We realized we were not alone. So you made contact? Vasek asked. Rogers shook his head. No, we listened. For decades, we just listened. And what we heard scared us. The screen changed to show recordings of alien conversations, discussions about extracting resources from primitive worlds, debates about which species deserve rights, and colonization plans. We heard the Alliance debate whether primitive species should be protected or exploited. Jack added. We heard arguments about which planets were worth claiming. We learned that in the galaxy, power is the only true protection. So instead of revealing ourselves, Susan continued, we developed our technology in secret. We have built hidden bases throughout our solar system and beyond. Rogers touched the screen, and it changed to show an enormous ship, unlike anything the alien students had ever seen. This is the Sentinel, he said, our first true deep spacecraft. While we sent primitive rockets to our moon in public, the Sentinel traveled to other star systems. We have visited their home worlds more than a century ago, Jack said, learning their languages, studying their technologies, understanding their weaknesses. The alien students looked at each other in shock. That's impossible, Krovox said. Our defense systems would have detected you. Rogers laughed. Your defense systems are based on technology that the Alliance shares with all members. We never share our true capabilities, so you don't know what to look for. He led them to a large window. Outside there were hundreds of ships floating, each one different from the other. Some were small and elegant, others huge and powerful. This is just one fleet, Rogers explained. We have several, all hidden throughout the galaxy. Why show us now? Dorn asked. Why reveal the secret? Because things are changing, Susan said. The Alliance's attitude towards Earth has been changing. Some members want to pressure us, thinking we are weak. We need allies who understand the truth, Jack added. Students who will one day occupy positions of power in their worlds. Rogers nodded. We're not revealing this to scare you. We want peace, but we prepare for war because that is what human history has taught us to do. Mila approached the window, her blue feathers reflecting the lights of the human fleet. This whole time, she said calmly, we've been laughing at you, making jokes about early humans. And we encourage that, Susan responded. The best place to hide is in plain sight, disguised as something no one takes seriously. Therefore, Earth is not part of the Alliance. Vasek asked. We are, Rogers said. But on our terms, the Alliance leadership knows our true capabilities. The general public does not. So far, Jack added, looking at the alien students. Even you. The next day, Commander Rogers took the students to a different part of Omega Station. This section was quieter, with fewer people running. The walls were filled with strange plants and small fountains. This is where our strategists work, Rogers explained. We have found that a calm environment helps with clear thinking. They entered a large round room. In the center sat an older human with white hair. He wore a simple black uniform with small silver star details on the collar. Students, this is Admiral Gary Boyd, Rogers said. He is the head of Earth's Strategic Command. The Admiral stood up and smiled. Welcome to the true face of the Earth. I understand that you have had a good education these past few days. Kravok stepped forward. Admiral, I still don't understand. If the Earth is so powerful, why hide it? Why not take your rightful place in the galaxy? The Admiral gestured for everyone to sit on the cushioned seats arranged in a circle. Let me tell you a story from Earth's history, he began. A long time ago, on our planet, there were many distinct nations. Some were very strong and made sure everyone knew it. They built great weapons, held military parades, and threatened others. Like the Drover Empire, Vazek said. The Admiral nodded. Exactly. And what happened to the Drover Empire? They were destroyed, Mila replied. 3 different species formed an alliance against them because they feared Drover's power. Precisely, said the Admiral. Now, in this same period of Earth's history, there was a small island nation that seemed weak. They had few natural resources and a small army, but they secretly developed advanced technology and gathered information on everyone. What happened to them? Dorn asked. They survived and thrived. The Admiral replied. Although empires rose and fell, they remained because no one saw them as a threat worth eliminating. The Admiral got up and walked to a window that overlooked the T-Rong. In the universe, the force that is visible becomes a target, he continued. The species that passes on its power is the first that the others unite against, but the species that hides its strength becomes the final surprise. Is that your philosophy? Kravok asked. To be the final surprise. It is our survival strategy. Jack explained. We studied thousands of alien civilizations before making contact. We saw how the strong were feared and eventually challenged. We saw how the openly advanced were pressured to share technology they were not willing to give up. So we made a choice, Susan added, to appear average, not too weak, not too strong. Just another developing species finding its way. The Admiral turned to face them. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to survive in this. And sometimes surviving means not showing all your cards. But what about trust? Mila asked. How can there be true peace if you hide your true nature? An excellent question, said the Admiral. That's why you're here. We are starting with small groups, students, future leaders, showing the truth to those who can understand. Why us? Vazek asked. Because you questioned the official story, Rogers responded. You looked deeper when others accepted what they were told. The Admiral nodded. The alliance is changing. Old threats are growing. New dangers are emerging. The Earth cannot remain hidden forever, nor do we want to. But we need allies who understand why we did what we did. What happens now? Kravok asked. Now you have a choice. The Admiral said. Go back to the gym knowing the truth, but keeping our secret, or join a special program. We are bringing together representatives from various worlds. People who can help build a new kind of alliance. One based on genuine understanding rather than fear or power. The alien students looked at each other. Before you decide, Jack said, there's one more thing you should see. The real reason why Earth remained hidden for so long. A week later, Professor Zixtal stood in front of his classroom. Behind him, the holographic screen showed the usual images of Earth, a blue planet with primitive satellites and basic space stations. Today, we continue our discussion of stunted civilizations that he started. As you know, some species reach a certain technological level and then stop advancing. Earth is our main example. The classroom door opened. A group of serious-looking Alliance officers entered, led by a tall alien in golden robes and official symbols of the High Council. Professor Zixtal, the golden-robed officer, said, "This class is cancelled." The professor's 6 eyes blinked rapidly in confusion. Counselor Draff, what is the meaning of this? By order of the High Council, all Academy materials relating to Earth must be reviewed immediately. Counselor Draff announced that Earth's classification has been changed. The students whispered among themselves. Kravok, sitting in the last row, exchanged glances with Mila, Dorn, and Vezek. Changed to what? Professor Zixtal asked, clearly shocked. Earth is now classified as a higher priority strategic alliance. The counselor responded, all previous teaching materials are obsolete. The holographic display behind the professor suddenly changed. Images of early Earth are gone, replaced by images of advanced ships, weapons, and technology. The students gasped. Starting today, Counselor Draft continued, a new curriculum will be implemented. Representatives from Earth will join the faculty to provide accurate information about human civilization. The door opened again. Jack and Susan and they entered, now wearing formal uniforms with Earth insignia. They were followed by Admiral Boyd and Commander Rogers. "These humans," said Counselor Draff, "will lead the new required course for all students, Strategic Underestimation, the Human Approach to Galactic Politics." Professor Zixdal looked stunned. "Is this some kind of joke?" "No joke," said Professor Admiral Boyd. "Just the truth has finally been revealed." The Admiral took a step forward and addressed the class. "For generations, Earth hid its true capabilities from the galaxy. We encourage others to underestimate us, to see us as primitive and harmless. This was our choice, our survival strategy in an uncertain universe." Commander Rogers activated a small device. The classroom walls seemed to disappear, revealing a view of the space around them. Suddenly, ships appeared, hundreds of them, materializing out of nowhere. The students screamed in surprise. "These ships have always been here," Susan explained, "watching, protecting, waiting. You just couldn't see them." By now, Jack added, Krovox had raised his hand. "Admiral, why reveal everything now? What changed?" Admiral Boyd nodded approvingly at Krovox. "An excellent question. The answer is simple: threat assessment. We detect signals beyond the known galaxy. Something is coming, something that will require all civilizations to stand together. The time for secrets between allies is over," said Commander Rogers. "The Earth needs real partners, not people who fear us or rivals who misunderstand us." Counselor Drav turned to the class. "Students, what you are witnessing is historic. The balance of power in the Alliance has just been rewritten. The Earth is not what we thought. It is not what we taught you." Jack walked to the front of the room and stood next to the now silent Professor Zixdal. "I hope you all join the new class. There is much to learn about the real Earth." As the other students left, still talking excitedly about the revelation, Krovox and his three friends stayed behind. "You knew," Professor Zixdal told them. "Somehow you knew." Krovox nodded. "We learned the truth, teacher. Earth is not a failed civilization. It is perhaps the most successful in the galaxy." "All those jokes about early humans," Mila added. "All that laughter." Susan smiled. "Sometimes being underestimated is the biggest advantage of all." "And now?" asked Professor Zixdal. "Now," Admiral Boyd responded, "we face the future together. As equals, no more secrets, no more deceit." The Admiral looked at Krovox and his friends, starting with those who were curious enough to see beyond the obvious. Those who stopped laughing at the Earth long enough to learn the truth.